Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Fall for the Wall. My name is Issa, and as per usual, we're talking about climbing things. So, today I have a really interesting video for you guys. It is the fact that lorsab is the first openly non-binary person to climb a 5.14a route in trad outdoors. This is super cool regarding the fact that this isn't something that has happened before, and it's just something super important to highlight. They had a article with Rock and Ice discussing this route that I definitely recommend you guys read. However, I'm just going to give you a bit of a rundown of like the route and then Laura as a person and some other gender related topics very briefly regarding that. So I am going to be referencing some of my notes to the side. I am a little tired and I want to make sure I don't get this wrong. So to start off, the route was called East Coast Fist Bump, and it is located in Sedona. Lore started projecting this back in 2018. In 2018, they worked on it in top rope. In 2019, they came back and did some lead on it. And then in 2020, they went and crushed it on trad. So basically, over those 3 years, what happened was they collectively worked on it totaling like a few months. It wasn't like they were there in 2018 and it was the only thing they were climbing. They came back a few times, and that cumulative time that they projected it and were working on it was a few months in total. They have been a climber since they were 12 years old. They started climbing out of Detroit, Michigan. And earlier this year, they also sent a 5-pitch 5.13 plus called the Cousin of Death. So they are a super strong climber. They are actually a coach. They do both one-on-one climbing sessions. They do some clinic sort of things. One of the ones that they typically run is the Warrior's Way Clinic, which is talking about fear management and lead climbing and things like that. So they are an inspiration not only for people that are non-binary, but everyone. They absolutely crush. So one of the things that they were discussing in the article was how, like, what it means to be non-binary in the climbing space. And how, while they might have some freedoms, they also might feel lonely, especially given the fact that climbing is a super social sport. On top of that, there is the risk of traveling to different places and whether people are going to accept lore or not. Lore is not assuming. Like, people look at them, they don't automatically assume their gender. Because of that, they have faced a lot of discrimination when they've traveled and been in some unsafe scenarios. So it's important to discuss what that means for someone in any minority group, what it looks like to travel and to do things that we might consider normal that we don't think about. So just something to discuss there is that component of how gender does play a role in whatever you're doing, just in the same way as we were talking last month, the way that race plays a role in whatever you're doing, and climbing is no exception to that. So, again, climbing is not a utopia outside of all of our other concerns, and while it can feel like that, right, it's our hobby, it's our passion, we love to do it, it is important to discuss these subjects and celebrate the success of lore, but also to remind ourselves that we need to be better and do better in making climbing spaces accessible, safe, all of those good things, supportive. It shouldn't be something exclusive to only a certain group of people. But anyways, Lore also has some cool discussions on how they believe that you need to have balance in climbing. A lot of people can burn out because they make climbing their only passion, and because of that, they can become in a super negative mindset and funk just because of the fact that when they're climbing and they don't do well, it's something that they entirely define their self off of. So they need for balance and other things in your life besides just your one passion. They discuss that. So that's just some things about lore. And I just want to briefly touch on like some solutions to making your space safer and more accepting, especially since the climbing community is growing rapidly and we're seeing so many more people that are LGBTQIA+, and we're seeing more people of all races and ethnicities and nationalities, and because of that we need to figure out how to navigate these complex systems within our own communities and we need to do better. So asking people their pronouns, not just assuming them. A lot of people you might assume their gender, and that might be wrong. So that's one thing you can do. If you're a Temple student, I highly recommend you get the Safe Zone certification. It's free, and it discusses the same thing I'm kind of talking about here on how to make your community safe and how to navigate gender and even race, and how to make people feel comfortable being themselves and being authentic, and how that you as a person can navigate any misstep that you take, or how to avoid them entirely to begin with, because education is power. So those are some of the things you can do. And then another important one is asking someone what they want to be called. Don't dead name someone. Even some people just don't go by their birth names. Some people just don't do that. I know I don't. My name is fully Isabella, and I go by Isa. And hearing Isabella, I don't usually mess with it. So things like that. That makes everyone more comfortable. Usually, if you're asking them their boundaries, gender, name, those are all things that are boundaries, and not assuming them is a big step to making our community more accepting. Furthermore, there are some clubs in Philly that are LGBTQIA plus friendly, like Flash Philly. I'll put their link here. So, whoops, almost took a step there. I'm standing today because I've been sitting all week. But yeah, if you're looking for another climber to check out, Ren Gentry is super cool. They also had an article out. I think it was on climbing.com and not Rock and Ice. But they were discussing what it's like to be non-binary and to compete in the climbing space, and the different things they have to navigate there, just because they compete in the female category because there is no non-binary category for them, and they discuss how their pronouns will be mispronounced over the intercom while they're competing, and all the different barriers they face because of the fact that they're non-binary, but they wear crop tops and they have bright pink hair. So people automatically assume that they are a cis woman when they're not. So the actual article's name is Gender Biased Non-Binary Climbers Sound Off on Discrimination in Climbing, and it is on climbing.com. So those are just some things that I wanted to touch on for today's video. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. I'll see you in a little bit in the next video. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching this one. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.